Hello and welcome to another episode of the A-10 Insider Podcast here on the Field of 68 Media Network. My name is Rob Doster. That gentleman you see with me is Jeff Goodman. And no, I am not panicking because we're about to get 12 to 18 inches of snow here in New Jersey. I hope LaSalle's not panicking. I hope St. Joe's isn't panicking. I know GW and George Mason, they're probably panicking because they're going to get about 8 to 12 inches down there in the DC area. And if you get
You
8
know
to
who's
12
not
inches,
panicking? You know who's not panicking, Rob?
Matt McKillop.
Me. I'm not panicking.
Oh, yeah, you're good. You're good to go. So it's going to be we're recording this on a Thursday afternoon on January 22nd. The snowstorm is coming Saturday night into Sunday morning. There's going to be cancellations for games. There's going to be delays for games. It could get hectic this weekend. And if there's one thing we know about the world of college basketball, it thrives when chaos happens. Let's talk about the top of this league, Goodman, because St. Louis and George Mason just keep on rolling. Mason is 18-1, 6-0 in the conference after beating GW on Monday. St. Louis, same record. They knocked off Duquesne on the road on Tuesday night, and they get a trip to the Bonnies to Olean in what should be a little bit of a. I know St. Bonaventure hasn't necessarily had the best start to the season, but that's an interesting one. Mason will be at URI, so we'll see how that kind of plays out. What I will say is this: we those two teams
Yeah.
should look at Dayton and realize that
Anything
Dayton
can
learned
happen.
the hard way that in league play on the road, anything can happen.
Yeah, you lose at LaSalle. And again, not one that a lot of people saw coming, but this league right now, again, it's yes, St. Louis and Mason have gotten off to this start, but it can change quickly. And
Mhm.
especially once you go through some adversity a little bit, you haven't. How do you bounce back from that? I think these two certainly are in the driver's seat right now. But I think, again, as you're looking forward here, and I don't want to look forward too much, but the A-10 tourney is going to be a whole lot of fun because of the uncertainty, because of just so many teams. And St. Bonaventure is going to get it going. Trust
Mhm.
me, they're going to get it going. I don't want to play them, if I'm anybody right now, because they got that first win on the board, against Loyola Chicago and Mark Schmidt. They're going to get it going and be playing fine, just fine when it matters.
Yeah, especially in that building. You know that the fans are going to show up in that building.
Yeah,
In our most recent bracket projection, St.
yeah.
Louis was an 8 seed. And if you look at kind of the cut line there, George Mason was listed as one of the first four out,
Yeah.
behind Oklahoma State, Stanford, Missouri, New Mexico, and Ohio State on the cut line.
Yeah.
Um, I think the best case scenario for this conference is that those two teams kind of roll through everyone, and then one of VCU or Dayton can find a way to make a run through
Or
the league
GW.
tournament
Or GW.
or GW,
How
whoever
about
it is.
GW?
You need one of those other three to be the ones that pick off. St. Louis is probably a little bit more comfortable, but if you're George
Yes.
Mason, you want to make sure that if you don't win that automatic bid, the team that you lose to is St. Louis,
Yeah.
Dayton, VCU, or George Washington in the league tournament.
The one that I got my eye on here that could make a little bit of a run here, and their analytics are still good enough. They're in the mid 50s in the net is VCU,
Hmm.
right? We're going to talk to Matt McKillop here in a few minutes, and VCU's got to go to Davidson this weekend. Then they get Richmond at home, Loyola Chicago at home, at Fordham, Dayton at home, at LaSalle, at Richmond, GW at home. Like can they get on a little bit of a roll here? Can Phil Martelli Jr. get on a little bit of a roll where they can start to pick up some momentum and get into that low 40 range? They got to go on a run here though.
So yes, they can get on a run. Here's the hard part about VCU. They don't have anything bad on their resume at all, right?
No.
I'm doing air quotes here. Their worst loss is on the road at George Mason in a rivalry game, right? You lose to St. Louis, you lose to New Mexico, you lose to Vanderbilt, you lose to NC State, you lose to Utah State. Those are all probably going to be tournament teams,
Yes.
right?
Got to beat
But
St. Louis. Got to beat St. Louis.
well, what I was going to say is that you don't really have the top
Resume
level
win.
wins. That you beat Virginia Tech on a neutral, which that is going to end up. I think that's going to age really really well because of what Mike Young has and the fact that
Yep.
they're now healthy. Um, but you play Dayton at home on February 6th. You play GW at home on February 17th. You get George Mason at home on March
You're
3rd.
saying the numbers, right? The numbers aren't going to move
I don't think that they
much.
can lose. I don't think that they can lose another game in the regular season because I think they still have to get that win at St. Louis to have the resume victory at the top of their profile to be able to get themselves on the right side of the bubble.
Yeah,
So
they probably have to win. I mean, they probably have to win the league or tie for the league, title right now. And
yeah,
you're right.
I
It's not
think
going to
it's
be easy, but I
yes.
could see them if they got to go on a run here,
And
in
they're
order to put
capable of
themselves in
doing
good
it.
places.
They're the talent is there to
Yes.
be able to do it. We've
Yes.
seen Phil Martelli Jr. put together teams that can go on runs like this. But I just if you look at who is left on their schedule and where they play them,
Yeah.
it's you are
Harder. Yeah,
yeah,
harder.
you're already in a spot where you are kind of I don't want to say playing with fire, but
Right.
the margins are very slim.
Yeah.
So we'll see if they'll be able to pull that off. But I do believe that this is going to be minimum 2 bid, potentially 3 bid Atlantic 10.
Yeah.
And if St. Louis, what do they call it? It's bid collusion, right? St. Louis needs to pick the right opportunities to lose to these A-10 teams to allow some of the other ones to be able to get in, right? Let's hold on. Let me bring up their
I don't
schedule
think
right here.
Josh Church is going to go for that. Just
Yeah,
so you know.
maybe he will, maybe he won't. But you lose at home to VCU on February 20th, and you lose at George Mason on March 7th. And you're still good enough to be able, like, you're in a great spot to be able to make the NCAA tournament as an at-large bid, and you just help out everybody else in the league. So I think Bernadette McGlade is sitting there, and she's probably texting Josh Shirts, "Hey, just listen, if you end up losing a game at home to VCU, if you want to go out on that Thursday night, you want to just kind of take the night off there, maybe that's when you have your Valentine's Day date with your wife." Maybe that's what she's telling him to do there. Big collusion, man. Nothing better than it.
All right. Well, with that said, let's get on to a guy that is not going to be doing any big collusion, little collusion, any sort of collusion whatsoever, and that is Davidson head coach Matt McKillop.
And now let me welcome on to the A-10 Insider Podcast, Davidson head coach Matt McKillop, fresh off of a 68-63 comeback win over Fordham. You won at GW last week. You've won 4 of your last 5, and you're sitting here now 12-6 and 4-2 in the A-10. Man, you guys have caught fire here a little bit in recent weeks. What has gone well for you guys to allow you to win 4 of your last 5?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me on. Really, really proud of what our guys have done, and you kind of talked about the stretch we've been through. We're getting better every day, and we've had some injuries, so guys have been forced to play different roles and step up to different roles. And then when guys have returned from those injuries, they've had to find their rhythm while still maintaining the roles of those guys who are getting better by having some more minutes that they can play. So, last night was a great example of that. We went on a great run in the second half, and it was JQ Roberts coming off the bench, Manny Joseph coming off the bench, Nick Koval coming off the bench, Roberts Bloom's coming off the bench. Like those 4 guys really, really sparked the energy that carried us into a victory in the second half. So we're finding ways to take advantage of our depth. We're finding ways to play through guys like Devin Brown, who is playing better and better. But ultimately, I think everybody's feeling more and more comfortable with what we need from them offensively and defensively.
Yeah, Goodman, hold on. I want to follow up on that because you mentioned Roberts Blooms there. I think this is one of the more interesting situations in college basketball because he has not started a game for you guys this season, and he is your leading scorer on the season, which is it's an interesting dynamic, right? So how have you managed to convince a kid that I am sure has a lot of confidence in his ability that the best thing for him to do as a leading scorer is to come off the bench?
Yeah, Robert's got a lot of confidence. And his teammates have a lot of confidence in him, and he can really score it. His defense is really, really strong. And oftentimes we're thinking about playing him on certain matchups, being on the court from a defensive standpoint more than an offensive standpoint, despite the fact that he's our leading scorer. But I could be wrong, but I think game by game, we've had a different leading score because we've got so many guys between that like 8 to 10.5 point. I'm not certain what Roberts' points per game are right now, but I think Josh Scovins was leading us in scoring at one point. I think Nick Koval and Hunter Adam were leading us in scoring at one point, and maybe Sam Brown was as well. So I think all of our guys are buying into their roles. Yeah, I looked down in the second half, and we're playing well, and I think there's 13 minutes left in the second half, and Roberts hadn't even stepped on the court in the second half. I don't know that he came out of the game for the rest of the game. So a lot of it's a feel. A lot of it we could probably do better as a coaching staff in terms of making certain that Roberts is on the court at the right times. But you could say the same thing for so many guys. JQ Roberts was exceptional, and Manny Joseph, who I mentioned defensively, like those two, the defensive presence they had in that second half allowed our offense to play with some pop and some energy.
That was the thing that when I saw you guys in Charleston, and feels like a long time ago,
Yeah.
5 games ago, right? But I said to you afterwards, I'm like, you guys have a lot of dudes. And I don't think you even probably realized that at that point because, again, it's a new team. I mean, you had so many guys in different roles that were here last year and so many new faces that you really hadn't coached. You know, you coached a few games, but you really didn't know your team. You know, what's been the biggest difference that you've learned from even then when you guys played well in Charleston to now?
Yeah, it's a great question. In Charleston, it was early, and we wanted everybody, and not that like this was our game plan. Let's get everybody to buy in by playing everybody, but everybody had an ability that we had to take advantage of, and we were pretty healthy at that point. We had a few guys. Sam Brown missed a couple games. Sean Logan missed a couple games. Nick Colville missed a few, maybe one game, and RJ Greer has been down with a shoulder injury. So what ended up happening was our rotation naturally was shortened just due to injury. But you saw Parker Fredrickson, playing 25 to 30 minutes, and he was playing really well. Roberts Bloom, same thing, playing 22 to 30 minutes, playing really well. So you learn like you got to give these guys a chance to play, to get the rhythm, to have the ball in their hands, to perform the way that they're capable of. And it's a challenge to do that when we have so many different options. But I think we saw a good example last night where, all right, those guys were playing really well during that second half stretch. Like we could stick with these guys and then, or just give them that quick breather to get them back in because they're feeling it, whatever you want to call it. We don't like to use those terms necessarily, but we've got the ability to play a lot of different guys in a lot of different situations. And when guys are clicking like they were last night on the offensive end and the defensive end, we've got the depth to take advantage of them.
Yeah, you have right now 5 players that are averaging between 8.4 points and 11 points a game. You have 11 guys on the roster that are averaging double-figure minutes, and nobody is averaging even 25 minutes a game. You have to have a level of, I guess, role acceptance is maybe a little bit of unselfishness on the roster for guys to be able to go to a school and say, you know what, I can come here and I can play 20 minutes a game and I can score 7 points. And if we're winning, it's something that's going to be positive for us all. Is that something that you identify in the recruiting process? Is this just they get to Davidson and they kind of realize what it is and what we're doing here? Was this just it happened to be this way because you try to get as many players as you could and it just so happened you got 11 guys, 12 guys that are good enough to be in a rotation? Like how did you kind of develop this culture?
Yeah, it's a great question because it's a little piece of everything that you just mentioned. We did not have much depth the last 2 years really, and we had injuries that kind of led us to that, but there were games we played guys 40 minutes a game, 38 minutes a game. And it was, we wanted to get a roster full of talent and anticipate, hey, someone's going to be down here. Someone's going to be down there. We spent a lot of time with a lot of new players. We spent so much time in the summer and in the preseason, off the court, building that chemistry that we needed to build on the court. And, a great example was Devin Brown spoke to our team as Devin's a freshman and he'd won a state championship. And it was very similar in terms of points per game. Devin was the state player of the year. And he wasn't averaging 25 points a game. I can't tell you what it was. It was 14, 15, 16 points a game. But he talked about to our team that they won a state championship because everybody played their role. So when a freshman, a new guy, the youngest guy, and those guys are usually the immature, the ones that are having to grow into what the college basketball game is where freshmen don't play. And he's the one speaking to our guys about it. Yet he's also able to perform when called upon, as he did against GW when he had 17 last week. Winning helps, and we've been fortunate to win some good games early when guys played a lot or a little minutes. When you see the success of your teammates, and you mentioned the number of guys playing and the number of guys who are showing they can perform and be productive, I think you understand it a little bit better. And like, for example, Sam Brown, he's been great for us. And there was no restrictions on him last night. But Nick Colville, Parker Fredrickson, Roberts Blooms, they were really playing great. And Sam was the most excited guy, waving his towel on the bench every single time we forced a turnover or got some rhythm going. So it was the work of what we did in the offseason to develop a culture. It's what Davidson has had in the past that we've tried to maintain as best as we can in this new landscape. But I think guys believe in each other, and I think when you see success for your teammates and you see success as a team, it makes it all a little bit easier. Now, you know, Jeff, I said this to you when we were walking the street and bumped into each other in Charleston. Like, knock on wood, everything felt great in November. Hey, everything feels good after 2 straight wins. We got to continue because there's going to be a tough road ahead. We got a tough stretch ahead, and we got a great VCU team coming in on Saturday. If we can have that same mentality, regardless of that outcome, but just by taking the court every day in practice to continue to build our chemistry and our mentality, we're going to have to continue to do it.
Yeah, I mean, you got 3 straight road wins. You know, you're in good shape in the league. Like I feel like this is probably the best you've felt, maybe as a head coach since you took over, in terms of the stability where you are at this point in the league, and obviously having that confidence right now with a group that, again, you don't know. Like, you get these guys in from other places, and you don't know how they're going to gel together. And when you get that confidence, I don't know. Do you feel as good as you felt as a head coach at this point in the season?
I feel good because we won. We won last night.
Okay. We got you on a good day.
You should. I mean, if you could have been next to me, how good I felt yesterday leading up to that Fordham game, because they are a team that will just make you grind it out.
How nervous do you get? Hey, how nervous are you on game day? Are you a type, like, could I come in the locker room 45 minutes before the game and you'd be loose, or you'd fake it? Like, what type of coach are you on game day?
My home is so clean on game day, because when I'm home, I can't just sit still. My bedroom, my closet's organized. You know, like, I think that's a good example. To not be nervous or anxious. I've got to be moving around and doing something.
You're fidgeting all over the place, is what you're saying.
I am efficient with a lot of things I'm doing.
Okay.
But it's just like, you know, one of our former assistants used to say, the hay is in the barn. Like, we've done everything we can.
Yep.
We've prepared. Our guys know everything we could teach them at this point to be prepared. Obviously, I want to make sure I got the right actions we're going to run and call at the right time. But you just lead up to. I mean, every coach, I'm sure, is thinks the same thing I do, leading up to game time. So I don't know that I'm ever nervous as much as just ready for that game, and there's anxiousness about getting there. But I guess to go back to the question, I feel really good about where our team is, because I know how much more of a ceiling we still have. Mm-hmm. And I've seen how good we can be in, you know, an environment like the GW game, or the second half against St. Joe's, which was similar to our game yesterday, where we came back and we performed and we defended and we showed we could score with pace. And I think we scored 40 points in the second half of each of those 2 games. So little by little, we're still just getting there, and we're just scratching the surface, and we're young. We play really 1 senior. We start 2 freshmen. I think there's a major ceiling that we still have, and we're getting there.
Yep. Matt, you got quite a bit of artwork there on the wall behind you. If we budgeted into kind of our budget here, Goodman creating a piece of art for you that says, "Yay, Coach McKillop, go Wildcats," something along those lines, do you think that we could get some space in the background of your setup there?
Yeah, I mean, it's all my children's artwork, and it's saving money.
How old are they? Matt, how old are your kids?
9. There might be something from our 9-year-old, but this is mostly our 6-year-old Rosie, and
that's way better than I can do. You know, your 6-year-old is leaps and bounds above me when it comes to artwork. Not even close.
Yeah. And it's really neat. On road trips, I come home and these are waiting for me when I get off the bus and get home. So these are the top tier of the artwork that has been done.
It's the best age, though. I mean, those ages, when you come home, even after a loss, Matt, like, you come home late, whatever, even they're at the game, like, it kind of changes everything, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, and my wife's so good about making sure the kids know to say the right things to me after a win or a loss, to the point that they now it's a habit. Like, they know how to, you know, sorry about the loss. But so excited Dad. About the win.
Sorry, Dad. Right.
Yeah. And even like last night, our kids did not come to the game just because it's a school night. And, but I went upstairs to give them a kiss knowing they're in bed. And our one daughter, I kind of nudged her a little harder, hoping that she might wake up and I could tell her we won. Yeah. I mean, my wife's a Davidson grad. And this place is really, really special to us. So being able to share it with our family, as I kind of was when I was a kid, just across the street, and was cheering this team on just as much as a fan and as a kid. Yeah, They make it so awesome. Yeah,
That's what you have.
True.
You have it different than most coaches. Let's face it. Like, not to say they're not invested, but for you, it's at a different level. I mean, you played there, you grew up there, your dad was an institution there. You have a sense of pride in this program that, again, it's different than a lot of guys. It just is.
Yeah, and I always talk about like just trying to protect everything that's been built, and it's so challenging now with the environment to do that. And we have great kids, but we have great kids that, hey, they could do what everybody else is doing, and you can't really fault them for what opportunities exist out there. And Rob, to what we mentioned earlier, like how our guys can buy into the role. I think we knocked it out of the park with the character of the guys we recruited. And it's tough in that tight window. You got to recruit some of these guys in the spring, and you hope for the best. And believe me, we're still working towards it, and we're still going to face some hurdles and have to get through those together. But we put a lot of work into to protect and really teach what this program is all about. Not just since I've been the head coach, but for the last 35 years. Before then, my father was the head coach, and I was a part of that as a player. 5 of our 6 coaching staff members were part of that as players as well.
Yeah, so you mentioned hurdles. You got a couple of them coming up here. You got VCU on Saturday. You're at George Mason next week. The week after that, first week of February, you got St. Louis. You got a road trip to Dayton coming up here in a couple of weeks. Like, this is the meat of the A-10 schedule. What has to happen? We've seen you guys kind of get hot here. What has to happen specifically for you to be able to maintain this, to be able to go out there and pick off a couple of those wins, to look up, after we get past Valentine's Day and you guys are still right there competing for the A-10 championship?
Yeah, we had a tough loss, really tough loss, because it was Hall of Fame. It was Hall of Fame day at Davidson. My father was being inducted, and we played Rhode Island. Now, we were without Sam Brown, starting point guard, and Sean Logan, who started the year as our starting 5 before he had a little bit of a knee issue that slowed down his ability to be on the court. It was all about physicality and effort that game. We just didn't have it, and we believe that was lacking. But also the energy from the leaders on our team, it wasn't consistent enough for us to expect it to show every day in terms of in the practice gym and then on the court. And I think we've had that physicality and effort. That being said, if I'm seeing that become the habit that it needs to become. Last night we didn't take care of the ball well. We had 10 first half turnovers, and I didn't love our shot selection. And the second half was 42 points. I think it was 42. Yeah, 42 points, because we took care of the basketball. We took great shots. We went inside, we went outside, and we took advantage of our depth. We've got to continue to do that. We got to be able to take care of the basketball, because when we do, we could play with great pace in the half court. We could play with great pace in our transition attack. I think we've been really solid defensively. We've had a couple, games where we have not been as good, but I think our guys are building all the right defensive habits, and I think our game plans have been sharp as can be. And then, the big challenge we saw last night, which we've not been great at, was rebounding. Fordham is unbelievable on the offensive glass, and we won that battle against the number 1 defensive and number 1 offensive rebounding team. I think those are correct statistics in the A-10, or at least up until yesterday. So I'm kind of hitting you with a little bit of everything. We've got to be better rebounding. I think if we continue to be the consistent defensive team with physicality and effort that we've been, and if we could take care of the basketball and take efficient shots, high quality shots, and play with pace, I like I mentioned, I think our ceiling is there. We're just starting to scratch it.
Hey, Goodman, that sounds exactly like a head coach that just had his second cup of coffee. He's like, we got to rebound, we got to defend, we got to play faster, we got to be healthy, we can't turn the ball over, we got to get good shots.
And he started talking quicker too after that second cup of coffee. It started going a little bit quicker.
Still got a couple sips left.
Yeah.
What are you doing to prepare for this big winter storm that's coming? Right? Aren't you guys getting it a little bit?
So I hear. I mean, we get crazy down here.
I know.
When we hear it's going to be cold. So it's always, I'll believe it when I see it type of thing. Hopefully we're going to have a great student turnout. Hopefully the power. A buddy of mine texted, it's a guy, John Falcone, season ticket holder for us. He's asking him what's going to happen on Saturday, and I haven't been following up. But he brought up losing power and hoping that doesn't cause any issues. So
and you're like, thanks for putting that in my mind. Thanks for making me think about that.
It wasn't that cold this morning. Yesterday was pretty cold. It wasn't that cold this morning, so I had to look at the weather on my phone, and it does appear to be coming in pretty cold.
Yes.
When there's been scares like this, rarely has it I'm going to be optimistic that it's not going to cause the challenges. We got the campus-wide email from President Doug Hicks yesterday about here's the protocols and the fallout plans for any challenges we could face. So I'm going to prepare for it just like we did the last game, as if there's nothing that could interfere.
Yeah, well, we're getting 12 to 18 inches up here in New Jersey, so don't expect me to come down there and help out with anything. I'm going to be shoveling all day Sunday. If you want to send over like
the exercise,
I do. But if you want to send over like a heating pad or something I can put on my back on Sunday night, because I know I'm going to be sitting there like an old man like this afterwards. Let's see.
We would not know what to do down here if there was half of that amount of snow.
I've been like Raleigh and Charlotte, and I'm in Charleston now. Luckily, I wasn't here last year. They got a little bit of snow, but you're right. In Charlotte, you guys have a coating of snow, and the whole city shuts down.
Yeah, and I mean, we get it so rarely. Like, how do you?
There's no plows. Yeah,
right. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense when we have we got kids from all over the country here, and Sean Logan from New Jersey doesn't understand why there's such a scare. Like, how do we not know how to handle this?
Exactly.
Well, we don't.
Well, listen, appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. Always good seeing you. Always good catching up. I'm glad you guys are doing well here, and big stretch coming up. So keep it going.
Thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate you having me on.
And let us know what you want the painting to be that Goodman's going to send down.
I can draw a stick figure. Here's what. I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you my artwork right now. This is the extent of my artwork. All right, I'm going to show it to you right now. This is a picture of Doster. This is my picture of Rob Doster.
Looks good. Got a smile on my face.
Yeah, you're smiling.
A little bit too thin.
You send me that. It'll be on the wall next time.
I'll add a little bit of color. You got red back there. You got blue. I'll add in a little color. I'll try to spice it up a little bit for you.
That sounds perfect.
All right.
Thanks, Matt.